There's a strange kind of silence that follows you when you have been trying to be perfect for a long time. It's not peaceful silence. It's more like the quiet you hear just before you realize something isn't right. For most of my life, I didn't notice it. I didn't question it. I thought it was normal to carry that weight, to feel that tension behind my smile, to constantly wonder if I had done enough, said enough, been enough. The truth is, I can't even remember when it started. That need to get it all just right, it crept in slowly, like fog rolling in over the years. I thought it was just part of being responsible, of doing things well, of being a good person. I told myself it was about having standards, about caring. But over time, what began as a desire to do well turned into something much heavier. It turned into pressure. It turned into fear. It turned into a kind of quiet desperation to never mess up. And I became the one who was always composed, always prepared, always thinking 10 steps ahead. I didn't make space for mistakes, not publicly and not privately. If something went wrong, I took it personally. If someone was disappointed, I carried that weight for days. I measured my worth in how few things I got wrong, in how often I could appear calm, put together, capable. And the moments when I couldn't hold it all together, I hated myself for them and I replayed them endlessly. I tried to erase them with better days, better choices, better performances. People around me probably thought I was doing just fine. From the outside, I had things under control, but on the inside, I was exhausted. Not physically, though that came too, but emotionally. Soul tired, because perfection doesn't let you rest. It doesn't let you breathe. It doesn't let you pause and enjoy the moment. You're always scanning for what might go wrong, always wondering if this version of yourself is the one people will accept. And it's subtle the way perfectionism rewrites your identity. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't tell you you're not enough. It just whispers, try harder. Fix that. Don't let them see that part of you. So you do. You try harder. You clean up the mess, both real and emotional. You hide the things you think others won't understand. You smile when you'd rather cry. You hold back when you want to speak. You overthink every little thing because it feels safer than just being human. Looking back now, I see how much I missed. Not because I didn't have good moments. I did, but I was never really in them. I was always editing myself, always holding my breath, waiting for the version of me that would finally be enough to relax. But that version never came, because it was never about becoming perfect. It was about unlearning the belief that I had to be. And the more I tried to be perfect, the more distant I became from myself. I stopped asking what I wanted. I stopped checking in with how I truly felt. I was so focused on getting everything right that I didn't notice how often I abandoned myself in the process. I lost touch with the softer parts of me, the ones that weren't polished or prepared, but still deserved to be seen. No one told me I could just be a person, not a project, not a performance, not a set of accomplishments, just a person, flawed, growing, sometimes unsure, sometimes brilliant, but always worthy of love and belonging. I had to find that out the hard way, and it started with admitting something I never wanted to say out loud. I had wasted so many years trying to be someone I never needed to be. Now that's not said with bitterness, it's said with clarity, with gentleness, because I know I was doing my best with what I believed at the time. And I know I'm not alone in this. So many of us were taught to measure our value by how perfect we could appear. But what I've learned, what I keep learning, is that real freedom doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty, from softness, from letting yourself be seen, not as a version of who you think you should be, but as the person you truly are. And the journey to that place for me began the moment I stopped chasing an ideal and started listening to what was really underneath all that striving. A quiet voice that had been waiting and all along to say, "You can stop now. You don't have to keep running. You are already enough." When I look back, I can see how early it all began. It wasn't something anyone sat me down and told me to do. It was more like something I absorbed from the way people talked, from the way approval was given when I got things right and withheld when I didn't, from the way mistakes were met with silence or disapproval, from the way certain things were never spoken out loud. Somewhere in all that, I learned that being good meant being perfect, that I should never be too messy, too loud, too emotional, too uncertain. That if I could just manage everything, my words, my actions, my emotions, I'd never be seen as a burden. I wouldn't disappoint anyone. I wouldn't be left behind. And so I did my best to mold myself into whatever version of perfect I thought was expected. I carried that belief like an invisible rule book. It shaped the way I spoke, the way I moved through the world, the way I related to myself. I became careful, too careful. You don't notice it right away, the toll it takes. You just move through your days trying so hard. You smile when you're tired. You stay quiet when something doesn't feel right. You push yourself to get things done even when your body asks for rest. You keep trying again and again because you think you have to. But slowly, it catches up. You start to lose pieces of yourself, not all at once, bit by bit. Your joy, your spontaneity, the parts of you that used to laugh easily or try something new without fear of failure. They all start to shrink under the weight of trying to be perfect. You become afraid of being seen in your realness. You second guess yourself even in small moments. You rehearse conversations in your head before you speak. You feel guilty for resting, even when you're exhausted. You smile through discomfort because you don't want to upset anyone. It's quiet, this kind of suffering. No one really sees it, and that makes it even lonelier. I wish I could tell you that I had some great epiphany, some dramatic moment that woke me up. But the truth is, it was much simpler than that. One morning, I sat at the edge of my bed. I looked at my reflection, not in a mirror, but in the stillness of that moment. And I thought, I'm tired. Not just tired from the day before, but tired from all the years I spent not feeling like I was enough. And then the question came, as quiet as a whisper inside me. What if I stopped trying to be perfect? What if I let it go? At first, the idea felt terrifying. Who would I be without that constant striving? But underneath that fear, there was something else, a sense of possibility, of freedom. I didn't have to do anything grand. I just had to stop pretending that I was supposed to have it all together, that I was supposed to get it all right. It didn't happen overnight. It was a slow unraveling, a gentle, awkward, and sometimes clumsy journey towards something softer. I started paying attention to the way I talked to myself. I started noticing how often I apologized for simply being human. I began allowing small imperfections into my days, letting a dish sit in the sink overnight, saying no without offering an explanation, leaving a conversation without replaying it 100 times in my head, letting my face show tiredness without covering it up. I learned that rest isn't laziness, that making a mistake doesn't make me unworthy, that not knowing the answer doesn't mean I've failed. I learned that being real is far more beautiful than being perfect. And slowly, my shoulders dropped. My breath deepened. My days felt lighter, not because life became easier, but because I wasn't carrying the weight of perfection anymore. Now, I look back and see all that I missed while trying to be perfect. The joy of doing something just because I wanted to. The peace of allowing myself to be where I am without needing to fix or improve anything. The ease of sharing silence with someone without needing to fill the space. I've gained a relationship with myself that's more honest than it's ever been. I've found strength in being gentle. I've discovered that The best moments in life don't come when everything is polished and planned. They come in the quiet, unguarded, ordinary moments that used to slip through my fingers. Perfection didn't make me worthy. It just made me tired. What makes me feel free now is the knowing that I can be flawed and still be whole. I can be unsure and still be steady. I can be enough exactly as I am. If you're listening to this and you still feel like you have to keep proving yourself, I want to say something to you gently, with no urgency or pressure. You don't have to keep carrying this. You don't have to keep trying so hard to measure up to an invisible standard that no one can truly reach. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to be soft. You're allowed to show up as you are, tired, imperfect, uncertain, and still be valuable. Still be worthy of ease and kindness and good things. The years ahead of you can feel different than the years behind. Not because everything around you changes, but because you no longer feel the need to fight against yourself. You don't have to wait for permission. You can begin today, not with a grand gesture, but maybe with a quiet moment where you decide to give yourself a little more grace. If this spoke to you, I'd love for you to be part of this growing community. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. This space is for healing, for reflection, for real connection. Thank you for being here.